Hi everybody, I'm Shelly Peiken, friend of Mark Cawley for many, many years. I assure you, you are in great hands with him, but he's asked for my help to shed some light of my own perspective on how I see the music business and the changes and what it's like for me. So here we go. He's prepared some questions for me, which I will address. You grew up in New York in a great time for singer-songwriters. How did this shape your path? Well, I didn't grow up in Manhattan. I grew up outside of the city on Long Island, and honestly, I think I was the only singer-songwriter that I knew. Unlike LA where I am today, and I have a teenage daughter, they were all over the place. I mean, everybody was a songwriter. But where I grew up, I didn't know, I thought it was an affliction. I didn't know what I had. I mean, I enjoyed it, but there was no support group, there was no social media. What there was, though, were airwaves that were filled with unbelievably rich singer-songwriters, Carole King, James Taylor, Carly Simon, Joni Mitchell, Billy Joel, and that was really inspiring for me because I felt like I had stuff inside me that I wanted to say like they did. And they were revealing their insecurities and their fears and their whimsical pleasures, and they were doing it in a confessional way, the way I wanted to do it. So that was a great inspiration for me. I never had the kind of voice where I was like a big glamorous singer with all this melisma like there is today. I think if I was growing up in this environment, I might never have found myself. So even though I felt pretty alone there, I was pretty inspired and encouraged by what I heard every day. Mark says, my book has some great co-write stories. That's true. He'll tell you about my book. I don't want to tell you about it. Let him. How has the process changed, and can you talk about the role of a top liner? Yes, I can do that. You know, I'm still doing it, so I do notice there are a lot of changes in the process, in the craft, in the approach. A lot of this has to do with the fact that technology came into the studio when people are writing songs. When I started out, you had to play a guitar or a piano or be able to write pretty much a full lyric, not a phrase or a sound bite. You pretty much had to come with a full lyric, and there weren't as many of us as there are today, so a lot of the responsibility was on us. And we would get together with maybe one person, not usually three. I mean, four was a lot. And we'd write. And we would talk a lot before we wrote. We'd go for walks, we'd have dinner, we'd get to know each other. I feel like we weren't in as much of a rush as I feel we are today. Technology allowed many people to be songwriters who didn't necessarily play an instrument. If you could program a backing track, and you guys know what that is, you could basically write a song. And this was an adjustment for me. I very often was given a backing track that I would write a top line for, and of course a top line is simply the melody and the lyric. In the olden days, the melody and lyric was the song, and we would go out and find somebody to make a demo or put background music to it. We would pay them. They wouldn't necessarily get a piece of the copyright like they do now. And that's okay. If you're in the room with me and you're building something from scratch, I can dig that. I mean, I think that's all good. But I have been given backing tracks that I've done top lines to, and unbeknownst to me, a producer might take that backing track and give it to 5 or 10 other top liners. And so I didn't know that there were 10 other people or teams working on the same track, and I'd work very hard at this, and then maybe my song would never come to be, or the producer would choose somebody else's top line. So I was given up a lot of control working that way. I do not do that anymore. I'm not judging it. If you enjoy that, knock yourself out. I don't do that anymore. But I will get in a room with somebody that can program if they are a pretty good judge of what a good lyric is, if they don't write them themselves, or if they have a good sense of the of an arc of a song, or they have melodies coming out from under their skin. As long as they can participate in some way, I'm good with it. My favorite way, of course, though, still is when I open the door and somebody's just standing there with a guitar. That always makes me happy. You're a strong advocate for songwriters' rights. That I am. What are some of your hopes and fears in this age of streaming and free music? Well, my hope is that at some point we can access and deliver music the way we receive Netflix or a utility in our home, say water or heat. A user uses it a lot. They pay more than maybe $9.99 a month. They don't use it at all for a week or so. They go camping or on a mindful meditation retreat, and they pay nothing. I fear that the longer music is for free or really cheap, it's going to be perceived as really as free and or really inexpensive, and it's going to be harder and harder to change anything the longer we perceive it that way. I feel that we used to, not too long ago, one could go out and buy an album and maybe pay $12.99 for that album, and if they didn't get attached to that album, if they didn't like it, you know, they couldn't return it. But usually we did like it. I mean, sometimes we didn't, but you couldn't return it. And we thought a lot about how we spent our allowance or the money we made, because we were thoughtful about the music we accessed. Now for $9.99 a month, or even for free if you can deal with the ads, you can listen to as much music as you want, whenever you want it, wherever you want it. And it would seem to me that the all-you-can-eat style of accessing music would have increased its value, but in fact, we can get it for less than we ever paid for it. And in turn, creators aren't getting paid their fair share. My fears are that it's very hard to change laws, that as a creative community, we're up against a lot of the tech lobby, and they're not so easy to fight. But I have faith. There's strength in numbers. I hope that all new aspiring songwriters get involved in some way. I know you want to go into the studio every day and write another song, but take a half of a day off once in a while and call your congressman. Contact my group, Sona. It's wearesona.com, and we will tell you what you can do to make a difference to get our profession back and protect the dignity and get paid, hopefully, in not too long. Mark also asks, to write songs as a career and deal with the business side, raise a family, and keep your sanity, deal with the tremendous ups and downs, what kind of emotional makeup do you need? I think we have to work on becoming immune to rejection. I mean, if you're thin-skinned or you can't deal with criticism or people saying no to you, this is not the business for you. I also tell young people coming into the business that anytime you get a no, or anytime your song gets rejected, you have to consider that experience a rehearsal for the next one. We learn from every song we write. We learn from every no we get. We get stronger, we get better, and we have to get through these no's to get to our yes. So I think you just have to stay creative and get up every day and write another song. You don't have to love them all. but once in a while you're going to really love something you wrote. I think it's healthy to get up every day and write a song. And I also think you have to have no choice but to want to be a songwriter, because it's really hard out there. And if there's something else you want to do, you might want to consider doing it. But if this is what you want to do, it could be the best, most rewarding career for you. So stick to it. Keep the blinders on to the negativity or the rejection, and just know you're learning something every day, and get up and write a new song. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me. I miss you, Mark. I'll see you soon. Bye.